Hi to all my incredible body-wise peeps out there, and welcome back to another video of Too Much Info. And this is your girl Pao, and welcome to episode 3. Grabe, I am so much thankful doon sa mga taong nag-message anonymous link ko last episode. And grabe, thank you po sa support. And napansin ko, most of people doon nag-a-ask about safe sex, about consent, or topic that is circulating around sexual assault. So ngayon, pag-uusapan natin yung bagay na yon. On the how do we spot red flag? Paano ba natin malalaman if sinasexual assault na ba tayo ng isang tao? And ano nga ba yung pag sinabi nating safe sex and consent? So first, let's talk about what safe sex is. Ano nga ba kapag sinabi natin safe sex? Well, sobra kasing daming misconception about it. Hindi kasi porket sinabi natin safe sex, it is about protecting yourself to avoid pregnancy. But it is about protecting yourself and your partner from STIs, mga ganong bagay. Kasama din siya or saklaw din siya kapag sinabi natin safe sex. So, lagi nyo din natandaan that mutual respect plus protection plus communication is equal to safe sex. And that safe sex isn't a one-sided decision. Hindi siya nag-vary kung ano yung gusto ni guy or kung ano yung convenient kay girl. It's all about shared decision. Kaya pag sinabi mong gusto kong gumamit ng protection o gusto kong mag-pills, it is not about pagiging maarte. It is being responsible for the both of you. Kasi both partners will benefit from it. And both partners have the right to feel safe and comfortable.
Hello everyone, I am Sarah and I am an aspiring sex ed content creator and I will be answering one of Pao's questions. So the question that I chose is, what does practicing safe sex really mean beyond just using protection? So for this, I have 3 points that I want to share. So for the first point, safe sex for me means practicing consent for both partners. So consent means being able to communicate your needs, your wants, your boundaries to your partner. You feel safe communicating all of these things without any hesitations to your partner. Which leads me to the second point. After communicating all of these needs and wants and boundaries to your partner, safe sex also means that you trust and respect your partner with all your heart and mind. So once he, she, or they communicate their needs, you will respect what their boundaries are. So, nandun yung respeto na kung hindi siya komportable gawin to, gusto niya tong gawin, gusto niya tong explore, you will be there to accommodate those needs, wants, and boundaries. So, at the same time, whenever you trust your partner to do these things, masaya ka sa desisyon mo. Ibig sabihin, hindi ka napipilitan, hindi ka pinipilit, sa kahit anong aspeto ng sex. So, those are the 2 points that I want to highlight: respecting and trusting your partner. And for the last point that I want to share, safe sex also means that you are knowledgeable and aware about your sexual and reproductive health rights. So, you are aware of the consequences when you engage in unprotected sex or unintended pregnancy and so on and so forth. So, practicing safe sex means being also responsible about your actions and your decisions in life. That whenever you engage in sex, you know the consequences if you don't engage in safe sex by using, for example, condoms or long-term contraceptives. So those are my 3 points. So for the first one, definitely practicing consent for both partners. Second, respecting and trusting your partner. And then lastly, being knowledgeable on your sexual and reproductive health rights. So those are my answers, and I hope I was able to help you with this. Thank you!
So next, we will be talking about consent. I know some of you marami pa rin nalilito kung what is really consent is. Paano ba pagsabi natin consent? It is about by simply say no. It is by simply say yes. Consent na ba? Pag ganun. So we'll see, malalaman natin kung ano nga ba talaga yung consent. Una sa lahat, consent is not just a one-time oo. Hindi porket umuo ka ng isang beses, okay na yun forever. That's not how it works. Baliwise, babes, ganito kasi siya. Yung consent, it should be clear. Also, when you say consent, dapat enthusiastic siya. And also, continuous. Dapat, parehas kayo ng gusto, parehas din yung gusto, parehas na will nyo, parehas na komportable kayo. Especially, when we're talking about sex. So, even though, pag sinabi ng partner mo, oo, tapos, you see that his body language is parang hesitant, nagdadalawang isip, tahimik or napipilitan. That's not a real consent. Kasi ang gusto natin ay enthusiastic na yes. As in yung yes na yes, yung as in walang hesitant, yung excited kayo for each other, and walang pressure at walang takot. Because importante ang checking in and respecting boundaries. At tandaan natin na kapag nagkaroon tayo ng jowa or kapag nasa relationship na tayo, dapat every time pa din yung consent. Kasi hindi porket jowa mo na siya, okay na ang lahat. Because consent can also be withdrawn anytime. Pwede yung sa una, okay siya, excited siya, tas bigla siya umayaw. Remember, that is perfectly valid. So, pag sinabi niyong stop, wait, or may nakikita kang body language niya na parang hindi siya komportable, you need to stop and check it. Because body language matters. Pero, verbal check-ins is the key. Hindi naman siguro makakabawas sa moment kung magtatanong ka ng, okay ka pa ba? Komportable ka pa ba? Or kung gusto mo pa bang ituloy? Actually, for me, super ang sexy ng communication kapag gano'n. Because it shows respect, care, and maturity. Yung tipong alam mo yung, iba kasi yung feeling na, yung tipong alam mong safe ka, at parang hindi mo kailangan pilitin yung kahit sinong tao. So, body-wise, babes, lagi natin tatandaan that consent is not the absence of no. It's the presence of clear and enthusiastic yes. So, parang the keyword is, kapag may duda or may body language na kakaiba, parang wag muna. Pero, lagi tayong magkakaroon ng verbal check-in sa partner natin kasi mas importante yung bagay na yun.
Hello po, ako po si Kate Guzman, isang SRHR officer from Make Sense Asia. And nandito po ako ngayon para sagutin ng isa sa mga questions on consent, which is, why is it important to understand that no or saying no isn't the only way to say no? So, mahalaga itong question na to, no? Because a lot of cases, unfortunately, harassment cases, sexual abuse cases, ang laging nagiging argument ng violator, harasser, or abuser ay hindi naman nag-no or hindi naman siya umangal. When in reality, no, things that are related to consent, things that require consent when it comes to sexual activities or even kahit hindi pa sexual activity, no, kahit things related to intimacy pa lang or romance, in a lot of ways, no, people, especially those that are more vulnerable or those that may have had trauma in the past, don't have the direct capacity sometimes, no, to say no. But ano ba yung mga other ways that we can understand na hindi pala nagko-consent yung taong to? We usually have this framework which says yes means no, no means no. Isa siyang framework na madalas gamitin, no, when it comes to SRHR, sexual and reproductive health rights, because isinasaad dito na kung hindi directly nag-yes ang isang tao, that still means no. Or ibig pa rin sabihin na hindi pumapayag ang taong to. Dahil sa panahon ngayon, there are ways that consent can get twisted, especially kapag ang mga taong involved in a specific sexual act or sexual activity ay hindi nakakapag-communicate pa specifically ng boundaries. And so, especially no, as a woman in today's age, it can be really traumatizing. It can really be scary to assert boundaries, or it can really be scary to really say no, especially kapag may mga power dynamics in play, kapag for example mas nasa vulnerable state ka, pag for example it can be a trauma response, pwedeng may mga traumatizing experiences ka in the past, and kadalasan no, whenever we're in instances na ayaw natin talaga mag-consent, but may, for example, may violator or may harasser, minsan, napapa-freeze ka na lang, diba? Parang hindi ka makakilos, hindi ka talaga makasay no, and that's why nagiging mahalaga yung yes means yes and no means no framework na madalas gamitin ng SRHR, because mas matutulungan tayo nito na maintindihan na kapag hindi verbally nag-agree, verbally nag-yes ang isang tao, ay ibig sabihin hindi sila nagko-consent. And this can lead to legal sentences, no? This can be, pwede itong iakyat sa mga specific na otoridad kapag hindi ito na pangalagaan ng maayos. Bukod dito, kahit pa minsan na pwedeng mag-yes ang isang tao, kailangan din natin i-mind yung kanilang mental or physical capacity, no? Hindi porket, for example, madalas na argument ng mga tao, lasing kasi yan. And minsan, kapag may mga tao, especially kababaihan, no? Pero hindi naman natin sinasabi na kababaihan lang. Pero in those cases na, for example, masyadong lasing ang isang tao to say yes, to say no, dapat na-assess din yung mental capacity ng tao in that specific moment, kung nasa tamang state of mind ba sila, kung nandun ba sila sa, kung gising ba sila even, kung sober ba sila, or nakainom, or wala sa maayos na state of mind to really be able to assert their boundaries. Because in those ways, pwede pa rin nating i-assert na nag-no or hindi tayo nagko-consent sa isang act or activity. And yun, maraming beses, maraming paraan na we can say no to things that we don't want to participate in. For example, yung hindi pagkibo, that can still mean no. Yung tipong pag-iwas, or yung kapag hindi ka body language, no? Sa body language, pwede din natin makita na ang isang tao ay hindi nagko-consent or they want to say no. Because sa panahon ngayon, sobrang dami ng nagiging harassment cases, sobrang daming na, alam mo yun, nagiging victim sa pag-twist ng consent. Kaya, kailangan natin i-empower ang mga tao, ang mga nasa vulnerable state, ang kababaihan, na ma-assert ang boundaries nila, ma-assert ang boundaries nila for consent. And para sa mga ibang para sa lahat naman din, kailangan natin maintindihan kung ano ba yung tamang ways to get consent and not assume it from anyone, regardless if they're sober, regardless if they're in a right state of mind, if they're in a awake state of mind. Mahalaga to because we want to ensure na talagang mananagot ang mga nag-abuse ng consent or pagkuha ng consent ng mga tao, because you want consent to be freely given, consent to be something that empowers people, and hindi something na nape-pressure lang ang tao sabihin or napipilita na dahil, I guess, merong mga power dynamics nga, no, na napuput into play sa mga ganitong klaseng sitwasyon. So, hopefully, mas matutunan ng bawat tao ang tamang pagkuha at pag-assess ng consent, dahil hindi dapat siya nakaka-agrabyado ng ibang tao, lalong-lalo na sa panahon ngayon na SRHR should be for all. So, yun lang.
Now, for this topic, gusto ko lang bigyan ng safe space tong part na to. Because there were message at the anonymous link. Hindi lang isa, hindi lang dalawa. Madami. Na they were sharing a story. Parang ang casual lang nilang kinukwento. Parang napaisip nga ako if aware pa sila na nasa sexual assault na sila. Kasi, habang binabasa ko yun, I feel so sad. Kasi nakakalungkot talaga siya kasi nangyayari siya. And this video is somehow an awareness doon sa mga nagsend ng message. In sexual assault, never naging kasalanan ng biktima kung ano yung nangyari sa kanya. Dahil ang dami nagsasabi na, kuwari pag may nanay, laging siya sabi, even though social media, sobrang daming nagsisirculate ng ganong cases online, wherein kapag nag-share yung isang tao sa mga karanasan yan, may mga comments na kaya ka nababastos kasi ganyan yung suot mo, wherein yung suot natin, it is not an invitation for us para bastusin, manyakin, or whatsoever. Lagi din natandaan that it is okay to speak up, pero okay lang din kung hindi ka pa ready. This part is somehow connected to consent. Kaya lang sinabi ko kanina, consent is not a one-time oo. Kahit magjowa na kayo, laging nandun dapat yung consent. So, meaning to say, consent doesn't stop when relationship starts. Even sa jowa, rape is still rape. Kasi minsan may mga mindset na okay lang naman kasi jowa ko siya. Pero it's not. Pero hindi kasi yun ganun. Kahit magjowa kayo, mag-asawa kayo, or kahit may anak na kayo, kapag walang consent, it is still rape. Lalo na kapag napipilitan yung partner mo. To common mindset to ng iilang mga tao or mga couples that kapag magjowa kayo, yung body nyo or yung katawan ng isa't isa is pagmamayari nyo na, which is no. Because relationship don't give anyone ownership over your body. Being in love doesn't mean losing your right to say no. You can always say no anytime. At kapag sinabi mong ayoko or wag muna or hindi ka komportable, dapat igalang yon. Because love should always come with respect, choice, and safety. So sa mga nakakaranas ng ganito, please know na it is not your fault. And you're not alone with this battle. May mga organization po, hotlines, may mga support groups na makikinig at tutulong po sa inyo. I'll be posting those hotlines and organizations that can help you guys right after this video.
Hello, Miss Bell. What are some examples of SRHR violation that people might not immediately recognize?
Thank you, Gladys, for your question. I believe in Philippine culture, there are some SRHR violations that we do not immediately recognize just because it happens within informal culture. And I believe it starts with a home. It begins with a Filipino family. For example, in terms of sexual division of labor, girls are made to participate in housework by their parents. You need to, let's say, wash dishes, sweep the floor, clean your room. But boys, meanwhile, are allowed to play outdoors and not do housework. This exemption of boys and the mandatory housework imposed of girls is a clear but not so obvious violation of SRHR in Filipino culture just because it is very informal and a taken for granted reality. Another example as well is the eldest child. In the Filipino family, eldest children are usually expected to help out and play the role of breadwinners, no? Especially when parents are already unable to work because they have already retired or already aged. So I know of many eldest or firstborn children who are not informally allowed by their family to form their own families, exercise their reproductive rights, and pursue their, let's say, their romantic endeavor simply because they are playing the role of breadwinner in their family. That's a taken for granted reality, but it happens, and I believe it's a violation of SRHR. Meanwhile, in the workplaces, there are very blatant examples where SRHR is violated, but it is not so obvious. For example, I know of a Filipina police woman who cannot even get a surgery to uh, to heal her wound simply because she believes that her leave credits will not be enough to recover. And because she fears the loss of her employment, she decides to always postpone her surgery. I believe we can take a look into policies on women's reproductive health and necessary medical interventions. If leave credits and the workplace policies allow them to pursue reproductive health and treatment. Thank you very much.
Let's move on into legal side. Kasi, importante na alam din natin kung ano yung sinasabi ng batas sa Pilipinas. Sabi dito sa ating batas, under the Revised Penal Code of the Philippines as amended by Republic Act number 8353 or Anti-Rape Law of 1997, rape is defined as a crime against person, not just chastity, gaya dati. Ibig sabihin, ito yung paglabag ng karapatan at dignidad ng tao. So, when it is considered rape under the law, kailan nga ba? Simpleng paliwanag, rape happens when walang consent, may force, or intimidation, kapag ang biktima ay unconscious, asleep, hindi kaya magbigay ng consent, like yung mga taong under influence ng drugs, ng alak. Pag ginamit yung deceit or yung abuse of power, lalo na kapag minor yung involved, kahit pa pumayag, automatic rape na yon under the law. So sa batas, ang sabi, kapag minor ang involved, kahit pa magbigay ng consent, automatic na yon na rape under law. Pero, ano nga ba, or alam ba natin kung ilang taon nga ba talaga ang legal to have sex? Under sa Republic Act number of 11648, wherein napasa siya noong 2022, ang sabi, the age of sexual consent in the Philippines is 16 years old. Anyone who is 16 years old below, o yung mga kabataang 16 years old pababa, they cannot legally give consent. Kahit sinabi pa nilang oo or pumayag sila, tinuturing pa rin tong statutory rape. Kasi sa batas, ina-assume na hindi pa sila matured enough to give informed consent. So, for example, 18 years old ka. Kuwari, 18 years old ka, tapos nakipagtali ka sa 15 years old na babae, or 18 years old ka na babae, nakipagtali ka sa 15 years old na babae. It is still rape. Sabi sa batas, rape pa din daw siya. So, technically, pwede lang makipag-sex kapag parehas kayo 16 years old at may mutual consent. At walang pwersahan or paglilin lang. Pero kahit legal age na or kahit ilang taon pa tayo, dapat meron pa rin consent. Dapat meron pa rin enthusiastic yes. Alam ko, sobrang bigat ng usapang to, but it is really important, by the wise babe. Because consent is not just about moral responsibility. It is a legal one. At kung ikaw or yung kakilala mo is nakakaranas ng sexual assault, please know that you can reach out for help.
I would tell myself to take your time and don't rush things. It is so easy to confuse attention for affection and desire for care. It's okay. You've been through 2 relationships as far as I know. And when you're an adult, everything's eventually gonna make sense. It's okay. You don't have to morph yourself just so you could earn the affection of other people. That's not the way you should do things. You are loved, and you should not ever equate how you value yourself on how other people see you. It's so hard to live in a world full of judgmental people who do not understand you. And I wish I could say it gets easier. But I can't. But what I can say is that you will get stronger. Just manage your emotions and always put yourself first. And it's okay to masturbate.
Hello, my name is John Rocompahinay, 24 years old and an adult peer champion. So to answer the question, why do you think it's essential for everyone, especially young people, to know their SRHR? Well, first of all, the question is correct. SRHR is important for everyone, pero specifically, lalo na para sa mga kabataan or the younger ones, because the younger ones, they experience puberty, and this puberty is the transition from childhood, adolescence to adulthood, and this transition includes some anatomical changes, behavioral changes, and these changes might raise some questions, and in certain situations, confusion then, stigma and misconceptions about puberty. So SRHR is important because it gives them the right knowledge to telling them that these changes happening in their bodies are normal. Normal lang itong nangyayari sa kanila. And parte ito ng pagtanda. And the knowledge in SRHR also gives them the ways to cope and also how to manage these changes and navigate through this transitional phase sa kanilang buhay. And pangalawa, I would like to say first na knowledge is power, lalo na sa mga kabataan or the younger ones, because sila yung pinaka lapitin, pinaka vulnerable to abuse, to mistreatment, power tripping, and exploitation. Kasi their ignorance about the laws that protects them, pwede itong gamitin laban sa kanila. Giving them the right knowledge about their SRHR will protect them from abuse, from perpetrators na maaari mag-take advantage sa kanilang ignorance, and will also give them the knowledge na kung na-encounter nila itong mga ganitong sitwasyon, alam nila kung ano ang gagawin, alam nila kung ano ang mga batas na pumaprotekta laban sa kanila, at alam nila ang mga otoridad na pwede nilang lapitan kung sakaling may gumawa man sa kanila ng mga masasamang bagay na ito. It's important for everyone to know their SRHR, but specifically the younger ones, in order to inform them, to protect them, and to also help them grow. This is very important. So, ayun lang.
Maraming salamat sa lahat, Body Wise Babe. So that wraps up our today's episode. And maraming salamat sa mga taong nakibahagi at nag-share ng kwento nila.